I'm voting for Bernie Sanders because he's the only person that actually is going to fight for this, and people's lives are literally at stake. Now, I'm also voting for Bernie Sanders because I think he's right on a lot of other issues, and he's not as radical as people think he is. But that being said, like, this is my number one issue. This is the thing I care the most about because I don't want to see anybody suffer the way that I've seen people suffer in the system, the way that I've seen the harms of this system. And I think it's probably the most important issue of our lifetime that we need to fix this time. We really do. We can't do some half-measure public option bullshit because guess what? The public option also doesn't have cost controls and also allows for private insurance to still exist, thus causing all of this waste, this administrative, managerial waste of actuaries and all these other things trying to, how can we make profit on somebody dying? How can we not pay out? Their entire system exists on how can I not actually pay out this person, right? How can we find ways to make them pay as much as they can? And how can we find ways to steal as much money from the people who don't need our insurance at all? You know, and that's what to me makes no sense because it just shouldn't be profit-based at all. It just shouldn't. We should be focusing on healthcare outcomes. We want people to be healthy. And preventative care is always cheaper than trying to solve a problem after it's become a problem. And if people were able to go to the doctor and not worry about the cost of it, guess what? You're going to have a lot of people preventing a lot of issues before they get worse, which, by the way, drives up the cost of those things. You know, you find cancer in the beginning stages, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than finding cancer at the late stage, as well as less deadly. You know, early detection is important for stopping cancer. So to me, this is like the number one thing. And I didn't realize that that's where I was going to go with this podcast. But that's why I love podcasts, right? I love solo episodes in particular because it really just lets me free flow and kind of just go with the ideas. And once I get going, I get fucking fired up, man. I get passionate. I care about this shit. But to me, it's like there's nothing more important than your health, literally. And everything else matters so much less than when you're sick. You know, when you're sick, like you don't care about anything. Like you just want to be better. And I don't think somebody should die because they didn't make enough money in their life. We're more than the money we make. You know, we're humans. We have human lives. Like we can affect other people. We can give love. We can give compassion. We can help our fellow man or woman, you know? And the fact that we're willing to profit off of the deaths of our fellow Americans is just, I mean, it's so egregious. It really is. I mean, it's a moral crisis. But even aside from the moral crisis, because I know some people that doesn't appeal to, they don't give a fuck. It literally costs less money. I mean, straight up. Our current system costs us way too much money. And a Medicare for All system saves us, I wish I remembered the numbers, but it's like $30 billion or something like that. Let's say, I don't even want to do let's say, because there are real numbers. And if you look into the real numbers, you'll see that the current system costs us way too much money over the next 30 years. But if we implemented a Medicare for All system, we will save ourselves something like 30 billion or something like that. Don't trust me on the numbers on that. Look into it yourself. The information is there and it's available. Maybe I'll find an article and put it in the link in the description so you guys can see it, because this stuff is too important, man. You know, we can't be fucking around. And that's why we can't fuck around with some of these candidates who are they're just not that into it. You know, they're just not that into the whole process. Like, I'm sorry, we can't. We need to do this. We need to take care of our people. And I can't see another way other than the single payer. I can't. Now, I have no idea how long I've been recording here. But I think I'm going to end it here. And seriously, guys, if you're on the left, if you believe in these policies, there's only one choice. And I'm not saying this to be like, my guy's right and I'm always right. It's like, no, like literally issue for issue. When they actually poll the American people, Bernie is voted as most trusted on every major issue. Literally. Healthcare, the military, all these things. He's voted the most trusted. He's supported by more veterans than any other candidate. Why do you think that is? The candidates just, they don't really stand for anything, man. And most of them have sold out to the corporations. And Elizabeth Warren, man, she was like the best one of those corporate Democrats. And boy, has she fallen from grace in this one. I mean, calling Bernie a sexist was just a bad move. Like, no one seriously believes he said a woman couldn't be president. Are you kidding me? He really said that? Mm-hmm. I'd love to know the context. Oh, well, I don't want to talk about it. And this is when? Oh, right before Iowa. Oh, okay. Yeah, the whole thing is like, come on. At this point, they'll do anything because guess what? The establishment doesn't really want real change. They're okay with just the incremental. They want to just give you the scraps. Let me just give you a little bit. I'll give you some pieces. Sure, yeah, we'll insure a little bit more people, but we're not going to get rid of the insurance companies or, yeah, I mean, we won't go into Iran, but we're going to keep fighting the proxy wars. It's just, if you really want real change, there's only one candidate. It just is what it is. You don't have to agree with him on every policy to know that he's at least fighting for you. And by the way, he's not going to be able to pass everything anyway. So, to me, I just want somebody who has vision, who is at the helm, who can lead and inspire and bring people together. And guess what? Bernie does that. He brings people on the right. He brings people on the left. He brings people in the center. And, we can debate about what the center actually even is. But there's only one candidate that does that, and it's Bernie. And I'm not saying it just because I'm shilling for him. It's because he's passionate. He's got a record, and people believe him. People know that, like, when he stands for something, he really does. And he's got the track record to prove it. He's got the voting record to prove it. And nobody's been more right on issues before it was popular than him. I mean, he's been right about literally every issue except the Afghanistan war. That's the only one. And by the way, only one person, Barbara Lee, was correct on that. Everyone else was wrong in the House at the time. So he was right on Iraq. He was right on all these other things. He was right on the crime bill. He was right on the bankruptcy bill, which now makes it so students can't ever forgive their student loans. There are so many things that, like, Biden was literally on the opposite and the wrong side of, that Bernie was on the right side of. And this is before the hindsight 2020 of saying, oh, well, now I made a mistake. It's like, no, he was fucking right. He doesn't have to apologize for, like, almost anything in his record. There's only a couple things he's got to apologize for because, hey, nobody's perfect, And I don't agree with Bernie on every policy, but I don't need to know that this dude is the best guy that's being offered, and he's the most genuine, and he's going to fight for you. So I didn't mean to turn this into a Bernie ad, but I mean, this is just how I feel. I really am passionate about this stuff, and I actually really care about the policies. I don't care about the person. Bernie happens to be also an awesome person, and he's really principled. But, like, it's not the cult of personality, dude. It's his policies. That's why people like him. People don't like him because, oh, he's an old curmudgeon man. Like, are you kidding me? Oh, he's so sexy. Like, no. We like him because the dude's honest. He's truthful. He tells you what it is. And he's been on the right side of history. So you just can't compete with that. He's the only dude who has this kind of record. And he's actually the perfect foil to Trump. He literally is the perfect counterpuncher to him because guess what? Bernie gonna clap back. Bernie would smack him in a debate, which is why Trump is already talking about not doing the debates. He will smack him in a debate because he actually represents true populism and actually represents the issues that these people who flipped from Obama to Trump, he gets them back. And I don't think that we should be only aiming for those people. I think we should be aiming for a really broad coalition like Bernie has assembled. But, like, he's the only one who can kind of appeal to both sides because people respect him and at least know he's honest. And you just won't find another candidate like that. He's a once-in-a-lifetime candidate. He really is. And I know a lot of people who are my friends who are flirting with the idea of Elizabeth Warren. A lot of people know that Biden sucks, so that's good. But unfortunately, Biden right now is being propped up. And the dude's weak. He's got so many things that you can point out to being like, that was corrupt, that was corrupt, that was a bad decision, that was a bad decision. Ooh, that's kind of bad look. Ooh, Hunter Biden. He's so weak. Like, do you really want to put that guy up against Trump? Because guess what? Trump is not going to pull punches, dude. Trump is not going to, have the decorum and follow all the political rules. He doesn't, he'll shoot below the belt all day long. Well, guess what? He can't do it to Bernie because Bernie's uncorruptible. Bernie doesn't take a single billionaire dollar. That's powerful. That's something where he can be like, well, I'm not owned either, Well, let me tell you, Mr. Trump, you are a racist and a bigot. Like, he'll fucking eliminate him. And Trump would be like, yeah, but he's crazy. Socialism is bad. Venezuela. And then other people are going to be like, yeah, but actually Bernie will specifically be like, well, Mr. Trump, you support socialism for the rich. And he'll talk about how, we give all the money to the corporations and we're willing to give them money, but we're not willing to help our own people. So to me, there's only one candidate. And if you actually care about beating Trump, he's the only guy that pulls consistently blowing Trump out of the water. So if we're actually talking about facts and numbers and we're being honest and we're not being disingenuous actors like a lot of these people on Twitter, he's the only guy that can do it. So with that, I'm going to end this podcast. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it. It feels good to be back. Feels good to be recording these. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. Peace.